everyone, welcome to the Sew Essential vlog. I'm Lucy and I'm here today to share my latest makes with you. Everything I talk about today is available on our website and you'll find the links to our website and the products I mentioned below. So I'm filming from home today, so it's a little bit of a different setup, but we're just going to roll with it and see how it goes. So the first make I want to talk to you about is the Shelby dress pattern by True Buyer. So it's a really lovely, I feel, 90s inspired dress. So it's got princess seams that run all the way down the front, and then also princess seams that run all the way down the back as well. So that gives the skirt, because there's lots of different panels, it gives the skirt quite a lot of fullness, but just means it hangs really beautifully as well. I really like the way that falls. It's a button down, so there's 7 buttons down the front, and I love a button down. I just think it's a really nice feature, really nice way to fasten a dress or a blouse, just a little bit more interesting than your average zip. It's got little waist ties at the back that come out of the princess seams, and that just enables you to draw it in a little bit, but is another pretty little feature. The option I chose is the mini length, which comes to just a couple of inches probably above my knee maybe. I'm 5'6", just for reference, so it's probably the shortest I would go on a dress or a skirt these days. But yeah, I think a nice sort of flattering length it feels like. And then it's just got the little short sleeves. It's all finished with an internal facing, and I must say it's sewed together absolutely beautifully. So I really like the pattern. I'll just give you a little bit more information about the pattern. There is also an option for a maxi length dress, which I think would be lovely. So it would be exactly the same as what I'm wearing now, but the skirt would obviously go to your ankles. Or you can make a romper in a shorter length or a longer length. Now, I'm never really, I suppose it would be one of those culotte type looks, which again were very, very 90s. I remember having these full culottes when I was a kid, but I can't really see the point, because for me personally, I think often it ends up looking like a skirt anyway. But then I suppose you've got the practicality of it being a trouser, and if you're going to be sort of jumping around or climbing anything, then maybe that's why people like them. But that option's there anyway for anyone who would like to make the short romper, or you can make a maxi length romper as well. The sizes range from a 0, which is a 32-inch chest, 26-inch waist and 34-inch hip, up to an 18, which is a 44.5-inch chest, 38.5-inch waist and a 46.5-inch hip. I made a 4 at the bust, so that's a 34 bust, and I graded out to a 6 at the waist and hips, which are 29 inches and 37 inches respectively. And I was really, really pleased with the fit actually. I think it's really good. It didn't require much adjustment. You have got quite a nice bit of leeway around the waist anyway, because you've got these waist ties to draw it in if you want to, but I'm really, really pleased with the fit. It feels really comfortable. I should say as well, I made it in this beautiful viscose fabric, which has got tiny little daisies on it. I just think it's so, so pretty. The minute we got this in at work, I knew I wanted to make something with it. If you're not up for making a dress like this in it this time of year, I would suggest you could make a really pretty blouse with it that would look great with a pair of jeans with a cardigan on. But yeah, it's just beautiful and fluid and drapey and cool. So I think I'll get lots of wear out of this dress in the summer, but then also in the spring and the autumn I'm thinking maybe a cardigan over it and trainers, or possibly I was thinking, could I get away with black opaque tights and black little ankle boots? I don't know. Perhaps if I wore it with my leather jacket, which I've got here, I was thinking maybe the black opaque tights and boots would work with it. I don't know, what do you guys think? I think that could work. But yes, it is an absolutely gorgeous fabric, very, very pretty, very fluid and perfect for something like this where you want the fabric to really move and hang and drape nicely. So yeah, that's the pattern and the fabric. In terms of the construction, as I said, very, very straightforward. I made some adjustments, so I made my usual high round back and forward shoulder adjustments. Obviously there's a princess seam across the back, down the back, so for the forward shoulder adjustment there and the high round, for the high round back adjustment there, I had to pin the two panels together and then draw the line where I needed to add the fullness in the back. And then I moved the tissue and spread the tissue, filled the gap, and then removed the two panels from each other. It's quite difficult to explain, but I use my Palmer and Pletch Complete Guide to Fitting book, which is my fitting Bible. Use their suggestions, and I'll try and remember to pop a link to that below, but that's on our website. You can find it on our website, and it's taught me everything I know. It's a great book. I did also put a little picture of that on Instagram as well, that adjustment on the tissue, so if you wanted to you could get on and have a look at that. But they're just my standard adjustments, moving the shoulder seam forward and increasing the depth across the back because I am quite hunched at the back. And then the other thing that I did, I noticed I was getting quite a pronounced drag line up this side of the dress, and I think I might have had one on that side as well, and I know that that is because I'm hunched like that. I'm narrow at the front, so I just scooped out the armholes a little bit. I sewed the sleeves into place with the correct seam allowance, and then I actually increased the seam allowance to take some of the excess fabric out there, and that's worked really well. It got rid of those nasty sort of drag lines that were coming up there. Probably made like one boo-boo, I'd say, in this project, which was the button placement. I think really I used the button placement guide that she provided, but then I probably sewed the actual buttonhole a little bit too far away from the edge of the fabric. So for example, that could have done with being a bit closer to the edge of the fabric there, and what that means is that is sometimes flapping up a bit, so it seems to be sitting quite nicely most of the time, but I think I might have to sew a little tiny press stud under there, which won't be visible at all, but would just hold that piece of fabric down if I do find that it's flapping around a bit too much. Another little mistake I made actually that's worth mentioning is I was trying to be clever and sew really speedily and sort of do things in batches, so do all my pressing in one go and do all my sewing in one go and my overlocking in one go. And what that meant was I sewed the back panels together and I forgot to insert these little ties. So then I ended up having to unpick the back panels, unpick the overlocking stitches as well that I'd done, and then insert the waist ties. I managed to do it. I didn't have to unpick the whole seam, I just unpicked like a decent section. But I did have to unpick all the overlocker stitches, so you know, that was a lesson learned. Actually, it would have just been quicker to just follow the instructions and do it properly and stop, you know, being so impatient. So I thought I'd share that with you. But all the other techniques were really dead straightforward. I'm just having a little look in my notebook, because what I do like to do is just make some notes in here of any sort of changes that I make. I did sort of actually reduce the seam allowance on the back of the sleeves as well, because I'm a little bit broader on the back there, and I just felt that it was a little bit scant at the back for me, so I might sort of make that a bit broader if I made this dress again. Oh, and the only other thing to say as well was the hem. I've seen this technique before where they suggest folding the facing back against the main body of the dress or skirt, stitching it down and then turning it through to create a corner, and then stitching the rest of the hem up. But it just always seems a bit faffy to me. I'm never really sure why they suggest doing it that way. The way I chose to do it was I opened out the facing and I overlocked the raw edge of the hem all the way along, including the raw edge of the facing, and then I pressed the whole hem up, including the opened out facing, and then I just folded the facing back and stitched it down. So I suppose maybe it's not quite as professional finish as you know, if you do the turning through, but I just think it seems a lot less faffy for me. I've done that a couple of times recently on dresses and blouses, and it seems to have worked really well. So yeah, I'm hoping we're going to get a few more sunny days when I can wear this dress, because I'm really in love with it. But if not, it'll be hanging in the wardrobe ready for spring, and I will wear it all summer long next year. I know I will. I'll be wearing it all the time. I love the fact that it's a dress, but it does tick that day dress box very nicely, that I wouldn't feel too massively overdressed in this if I wore it with flat sandals or trainers. But I am trying to think of ways I can style it for autumn as well. So if you guys have got any suggestions, please pop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear them. But yeah, this is the Shelby dress by True Bias Patterns, and it was an absolute pleasure to sew. So the next make I wanted to talk to you about is this version of the Tilly and the Buttons Nora pattern. So I've made it before, but this time I've made a t-shirt version. Made it in this lovely, it's like a French, I believe it's a type of French terry. It's got like a loop back on the other side, and it's got a lot of draper movement. If you let me take it out and just show you, you can see it's quite a fluid jersey. However, it's got quite a nice weight to it as well, so it's not a really lightweight one. I'd say it's more getting towards a medium weight, but it's very breathable and cool. But then it feels quite cozy as well. I know that sounds weird, but I think you'll know if you're into fabric and making lots of things and you've tried lots of different types of jerseys, you'll probably know what I mean by that, hopefully. But yeah, I chose to do the stripes. I did a bit of stripe matching down the side, didn't stripe match at the shoulder seams. Chose to use a Rowan navy blue jersey that's on our site. It's a John Caldor one for the neckband instead of using the stripes as well, just because I like the effect that that creates, and I like tucking it into my jeans. As you know, I always like that look, but I've just untucked it to show you it here as well. So it's a very loose fitting, relaxed t-shirt, and I think a very modern looking t-shirt. I know I've heard before people say that they're not interested in seeing t-shirts, but for me, you know, this is just a great piece to have in my wardrobe that I wear all the time, and that's where I get the joy from in my sewing. It's not just from making things, but it's also from wearing them as well. And I know this, well, it's already been worn absolutely loads. So I've got it on with my ginger jeans, which I made earlier in the year. And yeah, it's just been a really good make. I'm really pleased with it. So as I said, this is the second time I've made the Nora pattern, and there's different versions for the Nora pattern. So there's a version, the t-shirt version, or there's like a turtleneck version, and I previously made the turtleneck long sleeve version. There's different options for the sleeves, 3 different sleeve lengths. There's this crew neck version. And then you can also there's an option for like a split hem. So there's a split there, and it's cropped and shorter at the front and longer at the back. But I was originally going to do that with this t-shirt, and then I decided actually to make it all one length, because I thought I will end up tucking this into high-waisted jeans, so I just wanted that length there, and I didn't think I'd really take advantage of that crop length, because I don't really tend to wear things hanging out. The size range on this pattern goes from a 1, which is a 30-inch bust, 24-inch waist and 33-inch hip, and it goes up to an 8, which is a 44-inch bust, 38-inch waist and a 47-inch hip. So I cut a size 3, which is a 34-inch bust, 28-inch waist, 37-inch hip, which is about bang on for me actually. Normally straddling sizes, but yeah, Tilly's measurements seem to suit my body, which is always handy. So I didn't have to grade between sizes or anything. I cut a straight size 3. However, I did make my usual high round back and forward shoulder adjustments, and this is a much less voluminous version of the top than it would be if I just made it straight according to the pattern. I do like that sort of loose boxy t-shirt look, so I think that's really modern. I think that's what we're seeing all the time in the shops at the moment, and that is the, you know, very modern wearable look. But the actual original pattern would have been probably a good few inches, I think about 4 centimetres wider than it is here. So I saw one of my friends, Susan Young, lovely lady who's on Instagram and organises Sew Over 50, if you've heard of it. She'd made a Nora version, a t-shirt version, where she'd reduced the width and it wasn't quite so voluminous. And I followed her method of doing it, which was to simply overlap the pattern pieces. And I overlapped them by about 4 centimetres and then trued the seam. So that just means really just making sure the seams at the shoulder seam line back up. Again, the Palmer Pletch book will tell you how to true a seam, and I'll try and remember to pop the link to that below. But I did that on the front and the back, so I took a hell of a lot of the fullness out of the pattern. So, and it's still quite a loose, relaxed fit, and it would have obviously been a lot bigger if I hadn't have done that. So that is an adjustment I made. But I'm really happy with it. I think I'll definitely make this again. It's really comfortable, easy to make, you know, what more can I say really, just another great classic wardrobe staple. So yeah, a big thumbs up from me on this one. So I hope you've enjoyed that today, guys. Hope you've enjoyed the random setting of me being at home. And as I always say, you know, everything I've talked about today, I'll pop the links to below, and there's a link to our wonderful website where you'll find lots and lots of patterns and fabrics and gorgeous sewing stuff, so you can sew to your heart's content. If you like what you see today as well, please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.